So the world we live in tells us to shrink ourselves down, and if we speak up or stand out or take up space, that we're going to get hurt. So we end up living our lives trying to get external approval, acceptance, and validation, okay? Here are some reasons why we can't speak up, okay? You can't speak up because maybe you're valuing others more than yourself. And you know this because you think on some level that what someone else thinks or feels about you is more important than what you think and feel about you, and you actually let it negatively affect you. Ask yourself, am I putting this person on a pedestal? Am I letting what they think and feel about me be more important than what I think and feel about me? Then they're probably on a pedestal. Fear of conflict's another one. You may be too afraid to rock the boat and make waves. You may lack the confidence to really hold your ground and speak up. You may be afraid of what others will think of you or afraid to disappoint them. After all, they could judge you, reject you, or disapprove of you. But I'm going to tell you a little secret, okay? They're going to effing do that anyways. They're already judging you, okay? They're already rejecting you. They're just doing it silently in their head. So you could bend yourself in a pretzel and waste your life caring so much about what they think that you can't even live your life. You're imprisoned by the fear of what they think, okay? And what you think you're going to lose. Because if they really had your back, then they would love you anyways, right? Or you can say, screw it. I'm going to be me, speak up, express myself, have my boundaries. And if they don't like it, well, this is my life. So it's what I do with my life is really none of their business. You may have a deep fear of abandonment, and you're afraid that if you truly show up as yourself and say what you need and what you want and speak up, that people will leave. That is such a big one. And that's exactly why I'm creating this, to help you overcome what I struggled with for so freaking long, to free yourself and stop living for others and start living for yourself. And this is going to help you feel truly seen, heard, and valued, maybe for the first time. The truth is that if we are not valuing ourselves, there's no way in hell that we could ever possibly speak up, say our truth, or express ourselves. And let's think about this. If you could show up every day as fearless, as being unafraid to be who you are, to say what you think, to say what you feel, to say your boundaries, right? But how many of us are too busy putting everyone else's comfort and happiness before our own? How can we do that? We can't speak up for ourselves because we're not even focusing on ourselves. And I used to do this, and it's such a painful pattern. And I remember so many times I'd be in a situation where I felt I had to say something. Maybe someone crossed a boundary, or I just didn't like something. Okay, and I couldn't speak up, and I would freeze because I had no voice. Because when I was young, and growing up, I wasn't allowed to. So as an adult, it was only natural that I couldn't do that either, because I was never taught it was okay as a child. So I would literally be frozen in fear and confusion, and I just had no idea what to say. Until about 5 hours later, when I was trying to sleep, and all of the things that I should have said in the moment kept popping up in my head. Has this ever happened to you? And then I'm like, damn, I should have said that. Like, that's the exact thing I needed to say in the moment. And then I just had such clarity that I couldn't have in that moment when the thing happened that I didn't like. But it was too late. And then I started beating myself up. So if you guys done that, let me know. Comment below. And here's the thing. If you don't do something about that anxiety, that doubt, that confusion, and fear, it's just going to get worse. Okay, anxiety has to be managed. And then when you learn to rewire your brain, okay, then you can actually, because I was a very anxious, fearful person, and I don't like that. I feel calm, I feel happy, I feel secure, but I've done the inner work to be able to do that. So if you don't do something with the anxiety, the confusion, the fear, it's not going to go away. And it'll get worse. Because if you can't speak up and say your boundaries and really support yourself, okay, then you're going to keep attracting the wrong kind of people in your life, and that's just going to get worse. Because a lot of our happiness, so much of our happiness depends on our relationships. And if we have low quality relationships, Harvard has actually done studies that relationships have a huge impact on how you feel and your happiness and you living a good life. Okay, so if you can't state your boundaries, okay, you're not teaching people how to treat you properly, and you're going to be getting treated poorly, and you're not going to be respected. So that's going to really degrade your quality of life. So anxiety, fear, doubt does not get better. Okay, it gets worse, and they're not going to just fix themselves. What's that animal that sticks their head in the sand? It's like that. If you stick your head in the sand, everything's just going to get worse. You may also be afraid to be wrong. I was so afraid to be wrong due to my childhood. I was terrified of being wrong that I just would freeze and I wouldn't be able to speak up. And due to the vast majority of us growing up in a school system, you may be waiting on permission to do anything with your life, to be able to speak up and say your truth and set boundaries and do really what's right for you, because we have been trained to wait for permission. Or you may be afraid to look bad, so you need other people to think well of you. For all of these reasons, guess what the solution is? It's to value yourself. And when you can value yourself, okay, that frees you up from all of these. When you can truly, deeply, and embody your deservedness, your enoughness, and your value. How powerful is that?